कुछ होने में और बहुत कुछ होने में इतना सा फर्क है, एक बार सोच के छोड़ देने में और लग के कर दिखाने में। मान लेने में कि जिंदगी ऐसे ही कटेगी और सुबह 4 बजे उठ के सोचने में कि अभी तो बस शुरुआत है। किसी मैगजीन को हाथ में लेने में और उसी मैगजीन के कवर पेज पे होने में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वीआईपी सीट में और उसकी पिछली सीट में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वो जिसका मैदान ही खुला आसमान है, वही कल जमीन पर तो था। पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी कि एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानपुर से दूर, अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और 7वें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा है। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ, मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ, मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा है। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया, 20 years of ideas.
A very good afternoon to all the dear friends. Franchise India teams welcomes each one of you to our webinar series, Business Opportunity Over Chai. This is a digital representation of the business opportunity which we have got for you. Franchise India, an association which was established with an aim to provide maximum business solutions and franchise suggestions from our side, so that our potential business buyers can take a right and the conscious decision of selecting the right franchise for themselves. And we truly claim that no one sells more business than us, because we have helped more than 80,000 investors in getting the business solutions from our side. We have a reach and potential with 80 plus offices in Pan India, and we have helped more than 5,000 international and national brands to expand their business with these offices. It is our privilege to invite and welcome the entire management team of Franchise India, Gaurav sir, Sonia ma'am, and Venus ma'am, to particularly host this webinar. During the webinar, we'll first take you through the correct and the complete understanding about the business option which we have got for you, and then we'll be inviting all your queries. So we request each one of you to share your queries in question and answer box. The business opportunity which Franchise India team is bringing for each one of you is Hudsons Coffee. It's an Australian chain of coffee retailer, and today we have invited the team to talk about this business opportunities, master franchise opportunity which they have got for Indian market. And with this introduction, may I invite Ms. Venus and Sonia ma'am to particularly host this webinar and introduce all our guests of honor. Venus, you are on mute.
Technology always gets you. Thank you so much, Archana. I know, you're the queen of this and you do this every day. Such a great job. So thank you so much, Archana. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, FIBL team, for letting us do this. I think you have done such a great job in making this 12 o'clock webinar as the #1 franchise show in the country. So kudos to all of you. And I want to welcome our audience who are, I think, here watching us live on Facebook and who would join us later. And of course, our brand principals on behalf of Fran Global. So Fran Global is part of Franchise India, and our focus primarily is on work with international brands and help them find franchise partners in India, Bangladesh, and the Middle East primarily. And today, of course, we are very, very excited to have Hudson Coffee, and to bring you and introduce you Hudson Coffee today. Coffee industry in India is going through a tremendous amount of disruption, change, consolidation. So and of course, there is a certain amount of adaptation from the Indian people in terms of making coffee as a lifestyle. And Hudson Coffee really fits it well into that. And today we have Justin Scotty, who actually is the managing director for Emirates Leisure Retail Australia and New Zealand, who actually owns Hudson Coffee, originally from Australia. Justin has spent many years in heading global brands. He was previously with Nando's. A lot of us knows Nando's in India. He was the CEO for New Zealand and CEO for Asia Pacific. So he has extensive experience in building global brands, and we are very happy to have him. And today he's joined by Ashley Bottrell, who is the head of finance and procurement and IT. So I want to welcome Ashley as well. And so I think I'll let Sonia come in and share her comments. And then of course, we are all here to hear Justin just to kind of really give us a sense on the brand side. And then we as Fran Global, as the representative, would also share with you the opportunity in India and how does that look like. And of course, look forward to interact with all of you. Sonia.
Thank you. Thank you, Venus. And a very good afternoon, friends. And very good afternoon to you, Justin. And I welcome you all on behalf of the entire Franchise India team and on behalf of all the investors who have come to understand the business opportunity. And I'll just add, friends, this is not just another coffee brand being presented. We're talking about Emirates Leisure Retail. That's the company. It's a subsidiary of the high-profile Emirates Group, we all know, and which are owners and operators of over 300 restaurants, cafes, and bars across Asia, Middle East, Australia, and New Zealand. And they have been rapidly expanding all this while into airport bars, restaurant marketplaces, and they have actually set a benchmark globally in premium airport dining. And this is an opportunity for an area franchisee for the top, I would say, 8 odd cities in India. So I would not take much of time, and I would request to kindly take it over. And if we can have a presentation which we can share with the potential investors. And friends, you can also use the Q&A box down. If you have any questions with respect to the business model or the market that you want to have your interest captured for, please use Q&A and we'll take it up post the presentation is over. Over to you, Justin.
So thank you so much, Venus ma'am. Thank you so much, Sonia ma'am, for your welcome note as well as welcoming all the guests of honors. But before we finally invite them for the final PPT, we would like to play a beautiful video on the brand.
At Hudson's, we love coffee, and we have since we opened doors on Elizabeth Street in 1998. We love how it brings us together. We love how it gives us a moment to pause in a busy day. We love how it recharges our batteries. We love how it transports us. We love a fluffy golden crema. We love how the cup warms our hands on a cold morning. We love grinding, we love tamping, we love frothing, we love pouring. We love nothing more than sharing our love for coffee with as many people as possible. We also love our city, one of the world's truly great coffee cities. We love how its vibrant culture clusters in and around its cafes, talking non-stop in different accents. And we love capturing the best of that culture and presenting it to the world. So today and every day, we're doing everything we can to put the best of Melbourne's coffee culture into every single cup, bite, or sip.
I think when you talk brand refresh, people immediately think that it's just investing in your store shop fit, but it's much more than that. It's making sure that product, service and environment are equally weighted and equally as important. So if we just have a look, for example, with the new store design, our barista stations are the feature, they're the hero of the store, they're clean, they're exposed, so every consumer can see our baristas working their magic. So even just looking at our stores and cleaning them up, and exposing the barista station, that's one move towards the new positioning.
Every great brand has a clear brand purpose, and ours is for the love of coffee. So, we're doing everything we can to put the best of Melbourne's coffee culture into every single cup, bite, or sip. Because we believe that everyone, everywhere deserves great coffee. So, however you love your coffee, we're here for you. So that's our purpose. We also have an internal call to arms for everyone on the team, from the support office to the baristas behind the group heads. Share the love. So, how do we share the love? Sharing the love is explaining where the single origin comes from and why they should order it. Sharing the love is offering the barista's choice and explaining how the Robusta adds kick. Sharing the love is asking whether they need a tray or a lid, and sharing our love for the planet. Sharing the love is making our customers feel welcome and making sure they know where to put their recycling. So from a refreshed brand with a clear sense of purpose, we can't wait to start working together to share our love of coffee.
Justin, now you can put up the presentation.
Okay, I'll just go and share my screen, and
You should be able to do that.
Yep.
Yep.
See that Hudson slide? I'm just going to, my dog's whinging. I'm just going to let her out of the room. Excuse me. Come on.
No worries.
We've been in lockdown, Melbourne, for 200 days now. The last.
I
18
know
months.
we've heard that.
So welcome to Hudson's. I'm delighted to be able to showcase one of Australia's most loved retail coffee brands and share with you a bit about the Hudson's story and what it means to us and why we think it represents a great kind of opportunity to partner with someone in India or a number of people in India. So looking forward to sharing our story. Just trying to move through. Oh, that didn't work. Yeah, so I guess the first thing I wanted to talk about, this presentation is an introductory, really a taster, if you like, a small sip of our coffee brand. And I think ultimately, as Venus mentioned, I've got a lot of years of experience in retail food brands. And ultimately, I think to be successful, you need to have 4 pillars of success. You need to have a great brand, you need to have great product, great people, and great place. And without all 4 of those things, ultimately, I believe you'll come unstuck and won't have sustainable success. And I guess I'm going to talk to you today about those 4 elements of our brand to sort of try and keep it quite clear in terms of why it is we think Hudson's represents a great opportunity for you all. I guess by way of background, Venus covered this off slightly. I'm the Managing Director of Emirates Leisure Retail, Australia, New Zealand. Our parent, Emirates Leisure Holdings in Dubai, is the owner of the Hudson's brand. I spent 10 years with Mars in consumer goods, growing consumer goods brands, and then 7 years within Nando's. Worked across China, Southeast Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. Interestingly, I guess when I was in China, Starbucks was at an early stage of its journey in that market. So I took a really close interest just as a consumer a long time before I worked in coffee. So I guess there's a lot I learned or I believe about why this represents a great opportunity for Hudson's in India, having seen what Starbucks had done in China. And I'll sort of touch on that as we get through because, in a way it's a clear reference point for us. But so that's it. So moving on, I'll start talking kind of about the brand itself and a little bit about its kind of history. So we're proud we opened our first cafe in 1998 in Melbourne as one of the world's truly great coffee cities. Melbourne's culture often clusters in and around its cafes. So from the very beginning, Hudson's have done things differently in order customers to bring what they wanted around the world. We were even the first coffee brand to have takeaway cups in different sizes, and things that we take for granted today in coffee in the market in Australia are often things that Hudson's brought to Australia. So, you know, there's this concept of takeaway coffee being ubiquitous, being everywhere, didn't exist when we brought the concept from the US to Australia in 1998 by a small entrepreneur. So yeah, it's really exciting that it sort of was born you know, just over 20 years ago. Since then, we've grown globally, focusing predominantly on our airports business. So we're in Australia, we're in New Zealand, we're in Changi Airport in Singapore, and we're just about to sign our lease for our market entry into the US, which will go, our first store in the US will be going into Boston, hopefully in the next 4 to 6 weeks. But we've never really lost our Melbourne roots, our care for our customers, and our passion for great coffee. Yeah, so that's really where the brand was sort of born. We took ownership of the brand, as in the broader Emirates group, probably in the about 2008, but have really used it as a brand that we want to grow within our airports business to date. I guess in recent years, we believe that everyone deserves to be drinking the best coffee, provided the best experience wherever they are, without any pre-qualification or fuss. We're striving to be a mass premium coffee brand, which effectively in the local market means dissolving the barrier between mass brands and specialty. We want to provide artisan roasted coffee delivered at scale, and we think we're well equipped to do that. The reason we've evolved the brand in the last couple of years is the market's been highly competitive, and our direction is to effectively premiumize the brand in a pretty competitive market, so we can basically stand out. You know, we may take a slightly different view on how we would place the brand from a positioning perspective in an Indian market, and that's something we would work with our local partners on as we're sort of trying to explore. But we'd still very much see it to be at the premium end of the market as part of our launch in the Indian market. Sort of moving on to kind of product, I guess there are 3 elements underpinning the physical aspects of the brand: product, people, and place. All 3 are equally important. I guess when it comes to product, what we're probably most proud of is we brew fresh twice a week in Melbourne every week. We have 2 distinct blends that have been in the market for over 20 years. There's a premium blend for a creamy flavour and a barista's choice with a robust espresso shot. And then we rotate through seasonal blends featuring single origin blends. At the moment, that blend features beans from Peru. But I'd probably highlight the fact that our beans come from Ethiopia, Costa Rica, Peru, Tanzania, and probably most importantly for this audience, India. So India is one of our beans that's always been in our brand. And so certainly as part of expanding the brand story into the Indian market, that's certainly something we would talk about, and are able to talk about with credibility, as, you know, Indians always been part of the coffee that we supply. All of our beans are ethically sourced, which is also an important part kind of our brand story. I guess in terms of our coffee itself, it's been an award-winning coffee. And I guess the key points that we'd sort of highlight here is that we've had the same recipe formulation on our 2 core varieties for over 20 years. And I guess for those who probably are learning about coffee, one thing you can do on coffee is you can muck around with the recipe of your blends to manage margin, and that's something that we don't do. We have quality as one of our key values, and so we effectively use our seasonal blend to manage margin and innovation, but we don't change the quality of the core offer. We think it's central to the brand success that when you go in, you get a very, very high quality roasted product every single time. And we think that's something that we've done very, very well over a long period of time, and something that we really hold very, very strong to our hearts as we look to launch the brand in any market around the world. Over and above the coffee, whilst coffee does represent, or beverage represents over 60% of what we sell, food still represents an important part of our offer. Our menu is, inspired by a diversity of contemporary hospitality, and we have a preference for fresh, simple, healthy foods. high quality cafe staples such as hand-weighed sandwiches, wraps, and artisan pastries. And I guess we see this as a market. When we come to a market like India, we probably see that us having some competitive advantage to bigger brands where I think we'll adopt a more flexible approach. So, if you're going to partner with a much bigger, more established brand that's in 50 countries, whoever that brand might be, they're going to find it harder to sort of localize the brand. And I think from our perspective, we see this as a core part of our value proposition, that we can effectively localize our food offer. And as long as it complements the coffee that we serve and is premium in nature, and it doesn't conflict the brand story, we think we've got a lot of white space and a lot of innovation we could provide on the food part of our menu to complement the great coffee that we serve. And obviously we look to partner with our local partners to sort of build that story over time. But we think it's a great opportunity for us. I guess the second thing I'd sort of touch on with regard to coffee is that, with regard to food, I should say, is that we have in our experience had different types of cafes in different types of channels. And as a result, we've always had a flexible approach around our food, whether we're in a transport location, so it's a grab and go, or it's a sit down location where the food might be a bit more sophisticated and complex. And so we sort of have that approach to our food menu and evolution, that it's not a one size fits all on our food, and the food that you'll see in different channels will complement the channels themselves and the coffee and the brand positioning, but it won't be a one size fits all approach, because we believe customers want different food with their coffee for different occasions. And it's an important part of the sort of flexibility which we provide. And so that's sort of really kind of like my headline view in terms of what product looks like for Hudson's. When I sort of move on to place, there's sort of two aspects to place I'm sort of going to talk to. Firstly, we want our spaces to cater for the loyal customers and be sympathetic to their practical and emotional needs. We see a cafe, and especially in emerging markets, and I saw this in China, where a cafe is somewhere, it's a refuge from the busyness and the hustle and bustle. So when you go into one of our cafes, we want you to feel relaxed. You can talk, you can replenish. And so there needs to be a smoothness to the experience that sort of centers you in amongst the busy day. And that's very much central to the design in which we're trying to build. So that sort of leads us to sort of different formats. And so here are sort of 5 examples of formats that we have experienced, or 4 of them we've had experience in the past. So we'll have a coffee cart for events and promotions. We might have a coffee cart where where there's construction going on around a site. We might have it there as a teaser for a brand launch. We've got hole in the wall sites for ports and train stations. We have small, which might have a grab and go. It might only sell coffee and a muffin, and that's what might all we be offering. We have small format cafes, which is probably our predominant format, where you're likely to be able to sit down in most instances, and there might be a combination of takeaway and eat in, grab and go formats, and sit down and eat off a plate. So sort of a mixed something for everyone. And then we'll have larger format cafes, often in airports. They might sell cooked food. We'll have alcohol in some of those sort of format stores or cafes. And so once again, you can see the progression up the chain. And I guess lastly, we were very close to building pre-COVID our first roast house, which hasn't been built yet. But certainly it's something that we very much love to build. And there's a couple of airports in Australia we're talking to about building our first roast house, where we're actually roasting in store to sort of really round out the brand story. And that's certainly something we've got a vision for to do in the next couple of years in the local market, and something we'd love to do in any market where we made an entry. I guess in terms of where I was talking about the sort of the environment we're trying to create, from a soothness, from a relaxation perspective. We're focusing on natural, not plastic. We're focusing on natural, not color. And effectively, we want the site to feel authentic and real in a pretty cluttered world. And so it's not about the place being expensive. It's about the place being authentic. And so it doesn't have to be an expensive build, but we want to use lots of natural materials to effectively center the cafe as a refuge for the customer as they go. And I guess I've got a couple of examples here about what that might look like. So what we're trying to achieve with this sort of layout is simplicity. It's a sense of premiumness. It's a sense of being clean and uncluttered. And so if you think about, a Starbucks and you go in and it's incredibly busy and they're trying to sell you 100 different things. We're trying to be much simpler and cleaner and more natural in the way that we present the brand. And so we focus on fewer, simpler things, really clean lines, a little bit minimalistic in the way that the cafe presents. And we want you to be able to see the barista, see what they're doing, see the magic that they're creating, and make that kind of connection. And it's a really important part of the brand experience that we're sort of trying to deliver. And they are probably the physical aspects of space that we're trying to create. And I guess the second aspect of space, which is not physical, but I guess sort of emotional, is we are grounding the brand in Melbourne roots. We believe that there is a story around coffee, that Melbourne is a great coffee city that comes from its, Italian immigration influence, its climate, its multiculturalism. And so we're proud that the brand started in Melbourne. And so as part of the brand story, our founders returning from overseas trip bought it here. And so therefore we would want touch points that tell that story as an important part of what we're trying to communicate, because we think we've got great coffee and it comes from a position of really strong heritage. We're really proud of that. And so for people that love their coffee, we think the Melbourne story is an important part of what we're trying to tell and sell as we sell every great cup of coffee. I'm going okay for time. I guess the last pillar that we talk to is kind of people. And whilst all the pillars are important, from my 7 years at Nando's, we would say the people pillar is more important than others, because ultimately, good product, good place, lousy people isn't going to deliver a winning brand in food and beverage. And so it is in my humble experience, and it's a purely subjective view from my Nando's days, it is the most important pillar for us to win in any food and beverage experience, whether that's running a bar in an airport in Sydney or running a master franchise for a coffee chain in India. It's a core belief. So a couple of things I really wanted to talk to. So we believe we must act like a local. The benefits of being, India being potentially the fifth market we enter is that we believe that localization is easier to do earlier in your brand journey. And we believe it can create competitive advantage. And I guess we're looking for partners who have that innovative spirit that will look to partner with us to help localize certainly the food component of the Hudson's story in India as we embark on this journey. So we think it's just really important to sort of call that out, that we don't want to come to India and tell our Indian partners what's going to work in India. It's not going to work. We don't have the expertise, we don't have the insights, and we don't have the experience, and we don't pretend to. And that's really what we're looking for, someone who can bring that to the party to complement what it is that we bring, which sort of brings us to us. So we're owned by Emirates Leisure Retail Holdings. We're part of the broader Emirates Group. We bought the business in 2008, and ultimately the business has been underutilized over that period of time, and that's really just been about the broader groups had other things to do, and so it's really just let the business float around airports. Hasn't really progressed to try and do anything with it over the last 10 years for a whole host of reasons around corporate strategy. We've got, as you can imagine, the airport groups, as airports, it has all sorts. It's a massive group, and so ultimately the brand's probably been a little bit lost in a very big portfolio. And with sort of change of management in the last couple of years, I've come in and said, guys, this is a great brand. With my experience growing brands in Asia, I think we've underutilized what is a fantastic opportunity, and we probably would have been doing this 18 months ago, if not for the COVID delay. So I've only been with the group 3 years, and I would have been doing this 18 months ago, because I think we've just kind of ignored what's a fantastic and obvious opportunity for us to really leverage a brand that I think's got massive amounts of potential. Having such high credentialed owners enables us to be very values driven in our approach, and we're in it for the long haul. So even we've sat on the brand for 10 years and done not enough with it in the region. But now's the sort of time. And so we think we're, represent really good, solid brand owners who want to partner with people to sort of, to take this brand, which has unlimited potential, into a market that has unlimited potential. So that's really why I'm really excited about what we might be able to do here with the right partners. When it comes to you, what we're looking for is a growth mindset and some entrepreneurialism, to have some freedom within a framework. Clearly, the local expertise on the food side, is something that we're, I'm pretty transparent that we're looking to partner with. And ultimately, the sorts of people that, this is a values-driven organisation interested in creating long-term shareholder wealth for both partners. And so we focus on, quality, integrity, results, teamwork, and service. And we use those values to guide us in our decision-making. This is not a short-term profit play for this group. We're trying to create a special brand, and we see India as market 5, but as the next step on a whole host of other markets around Asia Pacific, and this is an opportunity to get in on the ground floor for a brand that we think has an enormous amount of potential. So that's sort of why I'm here to talk to you today. Hopefully you guys, some of you guys are excited about the opportunity I've presented, and hopefully I'll try and answer any questions you've got. But I think that's all I've got, and hopefully I wasn't terribly over time.
No, I think, Justin, you did such a great job. And I'm also understanding more about the brand. I think the way you have placed it, product, people, and brand, product, place, and people, I think that's such a great way of making people understand what the brand is all about. And in the cafe coffee business, I think apart from one brand, I think which I won't name, but there is a very big gap when it comes to the experience-oriented cafes. So I think India has a great opportunity to bring in premium, product-oriented, experience-oriented, as you mentioned. I think cafes today have become the second offices for a lot of people. So you have to feel comfortable. And I think India is very much sort of parallelly in the same category with very developed nations as well, because we have young population who is working. They are making these cafes as where they'll spend 2, 3, 4 hours. So cafes are not just about coffee anymore. It's about ambience. It's about experience. And I think Hudson somewhere answers that. And India definitely can be an interesting market and big market if done well for Hudson.
So so that's all I had. Do you want me to stop sharing the screen, or you?
I think so. I think I would now ask if Anshul, my colleague Anshul, is there, sort of understanding about how the Indian cafe market scenario looks like? A lot of course, they would know it. And also, how does the model, the business model of Hudson looks like for India? Just a snapshot.
I hope this is visible.
I can see it.
Great.
It's coming. No, I think it's not there as yet. Can anybody else see it?
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Go ahead and see it.
Okay. So
Yeah, I can see it.
So thank you, Justin. Thank you very much for taking us through a wonderful start to this session and a great introduction to the brand. Now this part of the presentation will talk about how India cafe market looks like today, what is the growth rate, and what is the opportunity for Hudson's in this market. So we start with, the India market cafe business, in fact, was about 300 million in 2013 and has almost doubled over next 10 years to be a 600 million market by 2023. So in terms of INR value, 600 million would convert to 4,500 crore market is for our Indian friends who have joined us today. Similarly, in terms of number of cafes also, we see a significant addition of organized cafes over this period, so going up from 4,000 cafes to close to 6,000 cafes by 2023. Who are the major players? So we, of course, at one point of time, Cafe Coffee Day was one of the largest players with 1,800 stores. Though struggling a little bit today, but still continues to be one of the larger players in the market. Starbucks, of course, partnered Tata's in 2012-13, and over the 7-8 years has gone to do 200 plus units in India and an annual turnover of close to 500 crores, or in this case, this would be close to 70 million US dollars annual turnover. Similarly, Barista also happens to be another major player in this market, 200 plus cafes, and continues to grow. So as I was saying, some of the key numbers in this market, India in terms of growth drivers, we can look at, large share of young population, growing income levels. And of course, as has been discussed before in this presentation, coffee today, cafe in fact today is now being looked at as a place to relax. Okay, some people also take it as a second office, working out of cafes today. Starbucks encouraged a lot of that. So that has happened, and that's where we see a lot of new cafes being set up to cater to that demand. We've also seen in this market there's evolution of formats for cafe, starting from a small kiosk, which typically is at 36 square feet, to a premium setups, up to 2,000 square feet models also. And for example, like Hudson's also has presence in all 5 formats, right? Starting from a Hudson cart, to which now, as Justin mentioned, they would be setting up the roastery, roast house also in next few months, right? So complete in terms of the store presence, in terms of the format, all possibilities are there. Even Starbucks, if you see, Starbucks has done large cafes, started with first cafe in Mumbai, which was 4,500 square feet, a very large setup. And then they've also set up express models, then airport concepts. Typically, a Starbucks today would be around 2,000 square feet. Similarly, Barista, if you see, a cafe model which is between 1,000 to 1,500 square feet cafes is what they have also looked at.
And would you endorse, Anshu, and I think Justin can also comment on it. I think although we have different formats, but as you enter in a market, the cafe model would be the most relevant one to adapt to.
Yes.
Correct, Justin?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yes.
Yeah, and I think Anshul mentioned a very valid point. People who would be or listening to this is, I think every brand does this, that they would open large stores, and Starbucks did that. I remember visiting their Connaught Place store, I think, which was double-storied, 5,000 square feet. It was full, but I mean, I was just calculating in my mind what kind of rentals they must be paying. But now I think, and I'm seeing, and lately, I think before pandemic, when I went to Mumbai, I saw their stores. In Mumbai, I think 1,500 square feet, 1,000 square feet, very smart, right in the middle of a lot of traffic, all full again. So I think that efficiency of space and format is essential, I would say, across categories. Even applies to Justin's previous brand, Nando's, as well. But I think, for Hudson, the cafe model, I think, especially as the brand enters India, would be sort of the way for expansion.
Right.
Yeah, my reaction would be, you might want an early store to be up to 2,000 square feet just so you can showcase the entire brand, but ultimately you'd be falling back into 1,000 to 1,500 square feet pretty quickly.
Correct.
So then we have a small understanding on Starbucks. So as I said, started in 2013. Today operate 219 outlets across 24 cities. In terms of their growth, they've done a turnover of $48 million in 2018, and this year in March 2020, they've closed at 72 million. So if you look at it on an average, each of their outlet would average about 20 lakh rupees monthly business is what we can look at it.
Can you share that in dollars with Justin? I think Justin,
that will be 300,000. 30,000. Sorry, 30,000.
30,000 average for a Starbucks monthly turnover, Justin.
Yep. Okay.
So on similar note, we have Cafe Coffee Day. This I think we can for now. At the same time, we also see Tea Revolution. A lot of tea brands, focused around tea, have set up chains across India and also well funded. So key brands like Chai Point, which is 100+ stores today. Chayos, again, a good 40-50+ stores across India. And another brand called Tea Tray. So the idea is that we see a lot of traction in hot beverage retail, not only cafe but also tea brands setting up their outlets across India.
And Justin, Starbucks does have Tivana in their stores, which has done well. So I can imagine Hudson, when you do your menu, you would have some tea options as well as part of the overall offering, because we have that audience. I know in Australia also you love tea.
Yeah, no, we well, I know I do personally, and the market. Yeah, we sell a decent amount of tea. It's not something that we promote as from a brand perspective, but yeah, we certainly sell a decent amount of tea in all of our cafes.
Correct.
Then we come to, in terms of how Hudson would be placed in Indian market, and we look at some of the key players in cafe and as well in the tea space. We're looking at players like Coffee Beans and Tea Leaf, premium segment operations, and of course Starbucks is there. Proposed market positioning for Hudson's would be next to Starbucks in terms of their customer experience and in terms of the price points. This is capturing a vacant spot in the market, offering a top quality product, global standards in customer experience and services, and competitive price points. So competitive means, at par with what Starbucks is offering today in terms of their price points. But very important aspect is the service standards and meeting customer delight is what Hudson's would bring in.
Now, I think this can be important if you're evaluating this opportunity. In my experience, I'm a coffee drinker. I think in India, although I love all the brands, but when it comes to ambience, lifestyle, experience, I think Starbucks is that one brand which still like really is holding the biggest market share, and there is definitely an opportunity and space available. I mean, I'll give you an example. If you compare it with other categories, there are at least 3 to 5 big players in the premium coffee space, or let me not even call premium, but in the experience-oriented coffee space, we only have Starbucks. And yes, it is Starbucks, it is Tata, but if you are a business family who wants to sort of get into premium F&B, scalable premium F&B retail, this can be Hudson can be and is positioned experience to be able to deliver the experience which where you would be able to sort of attract a lot of audience who are looking for that kind of product and experience.
Right. So moving forward, then what is the potential in India for Hudson's? As we've discussed, India advantage, young, large and growing domestic population, evolving affluence. The important aspect to understand today in cafe business, that market is growing very well, but there is of course lack of quality service providers. So apart from a handful of players today, there is nobody really, apart from what Starbucks has been able to achieve, or even Coffee Beans with about 20 odd stores. Costa is around 50 stores mark. There is a lack of quality service provider in a high growth market. So that's where that opportunity is available for Hudson's to come in and capture that space very well. Of course, Hudson's will bring in its global experience in coffee. Justin has spoken about 20 years of experience in Australia. So that is there. Highly adaptable and scalable business format. So all 5 formats are available. Support in terms of training, store development, design, operations, marketing, logistics. So all that support can be brought from Australia to our Indian partners. In terms of the franchisee proposal now, if we look at, this could be very similar opportunity like a Starbucks over 5 to 7 years period. We're looking at 200 stores and an annual turnover of 500 crores or say $75 million turnover is what we can look at it as a multi-unit partner. So that's what we're looking at here. Right, as Venus also rightly mentioned, large business families, and we'll talk about the partner profile also in next 2 slides. Before that, I'll come to the financial part. The 5 formats as we discussed. Then in terms of the unit financials, flagship, which is the Roast Cafe, 1800 square feet, looking at an investment of 1.8 crores. Then mid-large, which is the mid-large format cafe, 900 square feet. We're looking at an investment of 1 crore here. Small model, which is heat and serve, investment of 50 lakhs. Then hole in the wall model, about 30 lakh rupees, and card at 20 lakh rupees investment. In terms of the ROIs, also very attractive ROI numbers. So starting with card, which could be just a 1 year period, to a flagship model, which could be just about 2 years break even for the flagship model. More details on the financials we can discuss in our next round of discussion. For the master franchisee, now very keen to do regional master franchisees. We're looking at cluster approach, and we've identified these 10 clusters, 8 to 10 clusters in India across, focus around top 10 cities in the market, in the country. And so each of these clusters, we can look at setting up multiple stores across the 5 formats. Highly scalable in that sense, we can do malls, high streets, travel retail, corporate hubs, education hubs, even hospitality today, if you see, is welcoming cafes to come in and set up stores within their premise. For example, Apollo in Delhi has a cafe outlet within the Apollo premise. So And similarly, Medanta in Gurgaon also has outsourced its food court. So many opportunities like that, and multiple options can be created. Sure. So last and very important, ideal partner profile. Of course, Justin mentioned about this very briefly in his presentation, but we're looking at strong operator partner with experience in food service business, cafe business, experience with successfully developing an international brand. So that would be very, very important. Management bandwidth to roll out stores, manage a growing network across the region, across Pan India, team management, vendor management. So these are some of the skills that we would be looking at. In terms of the profile, so mid-segment food service operators keen to add international premium cafe to their portfolio. This could be very interesting for you. Second generation entrepreneurs from established business families, they want to set up their own business now, set up their own ventures. So that can be the case. Real estate developers, yes, very exciting opportunity for real estate developers also. Already have access to real estate, and this could be very interesting. HNI investors keen to join food service industry with a high growth cafe category and a very strong brand. So this can be also exciting opportunity for HNI investors as well. Right. So that should be the session. So Venus, please.
No, thank you so much, Anshu. I hope this was helpful. And I think Sonia, you want to comment? You know your audience best.
Absolutely, and thanks for this presentation, Anshul, and very, very informative. And I would maybe echo what Venus also mentioned. At the same time, friends, I will request, I saw some of your questions coming in while I've replied that privately. We'll also take it up for the benefit of all the audience present here. And if you look at the Indian people, they have an inclination towards enjoying their coffee sitting in the cafe rather than, as a takeaway beverage on the go. And while we have seen an increase in the trend of the takeaway in the last, I would say, couple of years, but still there's a big opportunity, I would say, or the market still has a majority hold in terms of the dining cafe market. And if we talk about the brand per se and the choice of any prospective, I would say, a partner, they look at the credibility of people behind the system, sustainability, they look at the demand, which is the market potential, we look at the value of the investment, and most importantly, sustainability and also the support from the company. And this is what Hudson stands strong on these criteria, with a trusted, credible name, strong legacy, being a subsidiary of Emirates Group. The team has global experience of running hundreds of cafe bars across multiple formats in diversified geographies. It comes with a seasoned promoter management leadership team and a world-class execution focus on detailing, which we saw in the presentation. And the company has also done in-depth study on the Indian market and opportunity at hand, which can be leveraged, and with a big focus on localization. And we're talking about an area franchise preferably, which can be across the 5 formats that we discussed. And like Venus had mentioned, we're looking at more of an experience-oriented than just being a transaction-oriented brand. And as we also said, the gap today is not in terms of the offering or the brand which are present, but I would say there's a bigger gap because we don't have in the country today, not even a single, just one brand that we have at the national level, which is sub-franchising. And for all the other brands that we named and we saw in the presentation, we talked about, they're all equity stores run by the joint venture companies in India or by the private equity companies run in India. So every time we have an interface with a potential, the investor, and we have a lot of inquiries which come for taking up a franchisee of some of these companies, but we have no opportunity with them. And we have a great opportunity which sits with the Hudson today. So I'll take some questions, and Venus, I'll request if you can also take some questions on the proposition. So overall, while we did talk about the kind of structure that we have for a unit franchisee, would we want to discuss maybe, on a macro number, what kind of a master franchisee structure are we looking at, in terms of the fee, and what is the minimum potential of a location? I did see in the presentation about 200 odd minimum potential in each location, and some of these would maybe have a higher penetration, maybe locations like Delhi, NCR, Bombay, Bangalore, these big cities. for a penetration point of view. So if you look at the potential in terms of the master franchisee, what cities first and foremost, would be a priority for us to get in, and what is the structure for a master franchisee in terms of, the financials? Would you want to give some broad understanding on the same?
Thank you so much, Sonia. Very well put. I think that's a very valid point. You said that we get so many requests for people. I won't name the brands, but the top 10 international brands, which are very, very obvious. But of course, those options are not available in the market. But and of course, at Franglo, that's our effort to really bring and make international premium brands accessible to a lot more families and people. Now, when it comes to Sonia, I think I would not share any specific master franchise financials. I think it's just too early, but let me give you an outline. So as Emirates Group, they are looking for serious partners, at least somebody who can develop, if not a region, if not a country, but at least an area. You mentioned Delhi NCR. I think Delhi NCR by itself can do 25 good stores. So same with Mumbai. I think these two markets would be priority, but Bangalore, Hyderabad, I think initially these would be the priority markets for the brand, because again, it's a premium experience oriented brand, and that's where these most cluster of audiences are. The profile of the partner is, I think if you actively and consciously want to acquire a scalable yet premium brand, and which can compound over a time, I think Hudson is an interesting opportunity. But yes, we are not looking for single unit partners as of now. And even if you buy an area, sub-franchising would not be a major part of the overall development. Primarily, you should look at building at least 50, 60, 70% of your portfolio by your own, because that's how you actually really build scale, economies of scale in your network. But yes, if like many of the brands do, or many F&B brands do, in a good location, you might want to indulge into what we call, I think the audience would know, FOCO model, franchise-owned company invested, only if you have a good location and if you are of a good profile. So I think it's all about building a coffee brand, a coffee business and a brand which is scalable, which is a good margin business, economies of scale are there. So that's the profile of the partner. Now I will let Justin sort of come in and say, would you be only looking at enterprises who are already in F&B, or would the brand be open, let's say, if you get a business family who wants to actively diversify their business?
Make sure I'm not on mute. No, that's fine.
We can hear you.
From my perspective, values and long-term commitment are probably more important than F&B experience. So, ultimately, you always want a partner who's got everything. But the things that we'd want to be aligned on, kind of long-term value creation and the values of being aligned. And the F&B, we've still got a lot of, we run over 300 food and beverage venues across countries all over the world. And whilst we don't have we want Indian insights, but we know how to run F&B. So ultimately, that's less of a concern. But we don't know the local market. So local real estate experience will be really valued, because real estate is an area of business that is, in my experience, you can do real estate. Real estate's very different between Australia and New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
So when I start going between New Zealand and Singapore, Malaysia and India, every time you jump, real estate's the piece that makes me really nervous going into a market like India. So it's probably something that I would really value almost more than F&B.
Right. No, I think, Justin, that's very, and you mentioned the word value creation. I think this 1 month has been a testament and validation of value creation. We have had, Yum India going public, Zomato, which is our platform, going public, Subway India being sold to Reliance. So when it comes to international brand value creation, consolidation, I think there has never been a month like this any time in the history. So I think as the values of Franchise India, and I think Sonia can endorse me into this, is to really make this kind of size of opportunities available to a larger audience, and that's been the spirit of the organization since the beginning. So, but yes, as Justin mentioned, the value, if you doesn't need to have a food and beverage experience, but you need to believe that this is a business which you can scale and which you can operate and create value over a period of time.
Absolutely. And friends, while I see a lot of questions which you might want us to answer, but one thing which I want to perhaps add on and make very, very clear, we're looking for some seasoned partners who, while investment might look as one part of the business. And just to give an overview of two things I'll take very quickly, I'll not give you any specific numbers, and we like to do that on a one-to-one call, understanding your profile, city, and your interest. So on the investment, typically, your investment would include the territory fee, whatever territory that you're looking at. We understand the potential in the territory, and there's a territory fee that you give to the company. And typical for a master franchisee, area franchisee, when we look at, I understand the term of the agreement would be somewhere around 10 odd years. So you get a territory fee for the term of the agreement that you sign for. Second investment goes in at least owning and operating one center, or I would say an experience outlet of the brand. And the third investment you must also do is also on putting up an office where you can train your own staff. You should also have a team which will support in day-to-day operations of your partners in the region. And also on the profile, where we talked about people from real estate, F&B, but most importantly, I would also like to add, we need people who understand scale, who are able to market the opportunity and have the bandwidth not only to own and operate, but also be able to help expand the business and the footprint in the territory. That's the most important function of an area franchisee. And the second piece which I'll pick up is on the income. I did see, I think Mr. Kiran asking on the income source, and every area franchisee would have typically, 3 or 4 sources of income. And the first and foremost is the franchise fees. So whatever franchise fees component for a unit franchisee, there is a sharing with the master franchisee, and there is subsequent sharing with the parent company. The second source of income for you would be royalties. So there is some sharing, and we can discuss. I'm not talking about the percentage here, but you will also have an ongoing share on the royalties. And typical unit franchisees that you would run would be at least for a minimum period of 5 years. So 5 years royalty would come, which will be shared between you and the parent. And the third, typically because you own the area, the region, you will also have income or margins which should come from the supply chain that goes to the outlet, which will all be centralized. So this is something which I wanted to put across to give some clarity on what we're expecting out of a partner. And also I'll answer one question which I saw from Denix Jose from Bangalore. He said, how many unit franchisees can be opened in Bangalore by a master franchisee? So like I mentioned, minimum at least one unit experience center is something which a master franchisee should be able to open within 2 months or 3 months of taking and signing up. At the same time, I don't think there would be any limit in number of signing up, but we understand that every unit needs a lot of efficiency and time involvement. And for a master franchisee or an area franchisee, as we would call them, you need to put your time in expanding your territory. So even if you want to put up maybe one big center and a small, maybe a cart, or the model which is the hole in the wall kind of a model, that can be done, but largely it should be something which is owned, operated at the unit level, then master's opening all by himself. But yes, if you have a bandwidth, you are a company which comes with that kind of experience and a team, when you think you can hold these many numbers in your region, we would be open to discussing the same. So Justin, before we close, and Venus, before we close, we are already over our time limit. So I'll request, if there's anything that you want to talk to the audience on the numbers, on the opportunity, any I would say one-to-one discussion date that you want to finalize with them, you are most welcome to announce the same. And Justin, maybe a message from you to our entire audience as we close on the overall opportunity that you see for the Indian market. Over to you both.
Well, I guess I was remiss not to thank the Fran Global team to partner with us. Thank you very much for the day. It's been a great opportunity for us. We think there's boundless potential for this brand in India, and we hope that having listened to our respective teams today, we have some investors who agree with us. So I look forward to follow-up meetings with some partners over the coming weeks, and yeah, very excited about the opportunity. So thanks very much for everyone for your time. Sorry we ran over time.
No, I think, thank you so much, Justin. I'm glad that you could do it. And thank you, Ashley. We didn't hear from you, but I'm glad that you are here. And Sonia, again, as always, you always do such a great job. Thank you so much. Now, I think we would want to, of course, since this is a international brand discussion, we would want to take this on one-on-one. Sonia, I think we will reach out to the audience, to people, and if you already have our information, if you are interested, please reach out to us. We will first, I will have a discussion with you, and if it makes sense, I'll definitely ask Justin's time to spend with you. But it has been a pleasure. I thank you so much, and look forward to be on the session again.
Okay, thanks so much, Justin. Thanks so much, Venus. I will also request if you can share your number, Venus, email ID, where you want our teams to connect. And thank you so much, Ashley, for being with us too. And friends, we put our number. So this is the team of Fran Global, which is working very closely with Hudsons Coffee. You can reach out to the team, and we evaluate the interest and the opportunity for your given area and your profile, and post that, in a very structured, process. We'll follow and take your discussions further. Thank you so much once again, and I request Ashna to kindly take it over from here.
So thank you so much, Justin. Thank you so much, Ashley, for joining in today. Our best wishes for the rest of the day to both of you. Thank you so much, Venus ma'am. Thank you so much, Sonia ma'am, for sparing time, taking all the queries from our investors. We would like to thank all the dear friends for the registration as well as for connecting for this particular webinar. We really want you to have a connection with us at our business hotline number, which is 9717683838. We have shared this number in the chat box also. Do share your suggestion and feedback at this particular number. But before we further go and talk about the various events we have planned for you, may I request Sonia ma'am to talk about our greatest event, which is coming on 4th and 5th of September in Delhi. So Sonia ma'am, may we request you to please invite all our investors.
So friends, this is one big show we are doing in New Delhi. This is 4th and 5th of September, which is barely about 12 days from today. In fact, we do the biggest and the largest show every year this time around. And considering the complexities of travel and also social distancing, we can't do that this time. So we are holding, this is the first time we are holding an FRO, which is a franchise retail opportunity show in New Delhi. This is happening. It's a 2-day event where we'll have more than 150 odd companies coming and participating. And we have about 5,000 business buyers who are already registered and coming for the show. So this is for all of you friends. If you're exploring, you want to bring your family, inner circle, your partners to be a part of the show, please register yourself on franchiseindia.com. And for any other information on this show, you can also reach on the hotline number, which I'll put in the chat box. You can reach out to us or call us, and we'll be more than happy to help you with any information you need for the event. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Sonia ma'am, for giving us the information about FRO. And dear friends, if you want a guidance and the expert advice from the management team of Franchise India, you can get so by joining them at the LinkedIn platform. Their IDs, Gaurav's IDs, as well as Sonia's IDs is there on the screen. Please take a snap of it. And today we wish you to join us for our Bharat Franchise Show. This is the biggest franchise show ever organized by Franchise India team, where our aim is to cover 100 cities in 100 days. We are today inviting you for our Bangalore chapter. The show will start at 7 p.m. We have invited the brand founders and directors from top 6 big companies. They will come talk digitally to you, showcase their business model. So please do registration either at our business hotline number, or you can also visit us at the Facebook page where we have shared the registration link. Do registration right now. And tomorrow, under our business opportunity with Chai webinar series, which is a 12 p.m. national prime time webinar, we are inviting you for another exciting opportunities. It's Break for Kids. That's the business opportunities we are bringing for you. The team would come and talk about this great opportunity. So please do not miss chance and join us today as well as tomorrow for our different shows. Thank you so much once again for joining in today. Have a great day ahead. Thank you so much. Stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you, friends.
Thank you.